Hey guys, I'm Nashpa. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing the DNF tag. So if you don't know, DNF stands for did not finish. This tag was originally created by Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot, which I think is the coolest name for a channel, and they are a team of two people who make videos together, and I just think they're really fun. So I'll have them linked below, and the video that I saw was by Shay, which I'll also leave linked below. So this tag has a total of 9 questions, including one where you can tag other people. So I wasn't tagged by anyone, but I just decided to do it because I think DNF is a very interesting phenomenon. So let's get into it. The first question is, do you DNF? And the short answer is yes. I do DNF, but it took me a while to get to the point where I felt comfortable leaving a book or abandoning it midway. For the longest time, I trudged through books I hated because I just thought that I had to finish them, and it would put me in a reading slump. But then I joined BookTube, and then I started watching Sean the Book Maniac, and he has an incredibly healthy attitude towards leaving books that he doesn't like. And for the last year and a half, I have felt very comfortably just leaving books if they don't hold my attention. Question 2 is, if you DNF a book, does it count towards your books read for the month? And no, I do not count my DNFs as books read because I only count the books that I finish all the way through. However, my DNFs do get a separate section. I usually leave them unrated, but I write a little bit of a review on Goodreads as to why I left them in the middle. And I also have highlights in my Instagram stories for all the books that I read. So I divide them by the year, but I also have a DNF section where I basically explain in a couple of words why I didn't like the book. Question 3 is there a difference between DNF and just putting it down for a bit? And I think there is a difference. I DNF books if they offend me in some way, or if they make me angry, or if they're just not interesting enough for me at all. If I think that at any point I won't pick this book ever again, I tend to DNF them. And sometimes I start a book but I leave it in the middle because I think it's not the right time. And that's happening right now because I started reading the biography of Malcolm X, and I DNF'd it temporarily because I feel like I need brain for that. And right now I don't think I have that kind of brain for that kind of reading. That's a temporary DNF because I am a mood reader, so when the time comes and the mood hits, I will definitely pick it up again. Question 4 is, what popular books have you DNF'd? And I have a whole list of books that I have DNF'd. I'll go to my Instagram highlights and read out a few of the titles that I DNF'd in the last year or something. So I DNF'd The Fox Was Ever the Hunter by Herta Müller, which won a Nobel Prize. Daisy Jones and the Six, I DNF'd it at 60%. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Wong, DNF'd at 17% because I did not like it at all. And most recently, City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert, I gave this book 50%. I read half the book and I just decided that I wasn't interested in it at all, and I wouldn't be interested in it at any point, so that's a permanent DNF. Question 5 is, what book do you wish you had DNF'd? And in the last couple of years, I think I've become better at not finishing books that I don't like, but before that I have read some books that I should not have finished at all. One of the creators of this tag mentioned The Crying Lot of 49, and it didn't make sense to her, and I finished that book and it didn't make sense to me, and it was a book that from start to finish it wouldn't make sense to me, but I thought that it was such a significant book that I should read it, and eventually I'll get it. If I read few more pages, I'll get it, and if I read like 10 more pages, I'll get it. And I finished the book and I couldn't understand much of it, and I was wondering why I put myself through that. Another book that I should have DNF'd was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This beautiful blue book that was all the rage on BookTube, and I started it as a buddy read with Jashana, and I think she DNF'd it, and I kind of trudged all the way through even though I hated that book. Question 6 is, do you ever reattempt to read a DNF? Has this ever been successful for you? And yes, books that I put down temporarily, I often do pick them up, and in most cases it has been successful for me because, you know, when the time is right or when I feel like reading a specific book, I tend to pick it back up, and usually I make it all the way through. There are some books that require more than one effort, and usually those are the books that are kind of rewarding because, you know, it takes a while to get into them because they're so challenging and I don't want to put them down, but eventually when I do get to them, they are just a really rewarding experience. And an example of this is Say Nothing, which is one of my favorite non-fiction books by Patrick Radden Keefe, and it had a few false starts, and I was reading it for the BookTube prize, and I kind of put it down for a bit and then I picked it up again, and as soon as I got through the first 3 chapters I was like, okay, I'm glad I picked it up again. Question 7 is, what do you do with the books you DNF? If they're an ebook, I delete them off my Kindle because I don't want to see it. If it's an audiobook, I remove it from my saved list on Script because that's where I listen to my audiobook. And if it's a physical book, I put it in a separate pile to unhaul at a later time, and once I have a large pile, I take some of them to my local library. I haven't done that in a while because the library was closed because of the pandemic, and sometimes I take them to a used bookstore so I can exchange them for other things. But if I've made my mind that I won't pick this book up again, I definitely try to get rid of it in some way, shape or form. Question 8 is, do you choose more or less risky titles because of your stance on DNF? And no, I decide to read books that interest me, or at least pick them up that interest me. So I don't really look at the DNF potential before I start reading the book, because if it's not interesting, I'll end up DNFing it anyway. But it has never stopped me from reading a particular title. And the last question is, tag 5 BookTube buddies or however many people you want. So I'm not going to tag anyone because I feel like if you want to do this, please go ahead, but I don't want to take a name and force anyone to do it, because I feel like if I tag people, they'll be obligated to do it, and that's no fun. So I hope that makes sense. So anyway, that's it for this really short video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.